Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
It is my pleasure to welcome you to Temple Emeth and to our Shabbat Morning Service. And I say Bruchim Habaim to you from here at the Rabbi Louis J. Siegel Sanctuary in Teaneck, New Jersey. If you're watching us on live stream today, it is my pleasure to welcome you to our service. If you have a copy of Mishkan Tefillah at home, now is the perfect time to bring the Siddur to your computer or your screen so that you can follow along with each song, each prayer, and each page number of our service. I ask as well that you post something in the chat or comment section of the live stream platform. It can be something as simple as Shabbat Shalom or your name and location, and in doing so, others will know of your presence, and we will help to form bonds of virtual community today as others will have the same feeling that they are joined in virtual worship at our service today. I want to say Bruchim Habaim to those of you who are here in the sanctuary. Of course, you know where to find your copy of Mishkan Tefillah, right in front of your seat. So go ahead and open a copy of our Siddur and turn to page 128, because it is there where you will find our opening song of this morning's service. Please join us as Cantor Tillam leads us in singing Ma Yafeh Hayom.
Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom.
Our existence within Jewish tradition is made possible by the miraculous combination of body and soul. And so I invite you to turn at this time to page 195, where we find the first of two blessings, acknowledging these two ongoing miracles. The first is a blessing on page 195, which acknowledges the miracle of the body, and then we'll turn the page and continue with a second blessing, thanking God for the soul. We read together in the middle of 195, "Don't let me fall as a stone falls upon the hard ground. And don't let my hands become dry as the twigs of a tree when the wind bears down the last leaves. And when the storm raises dust from the earth with anger and howling, don't let me fall. I have asked for so much, but as a blade of your grass in a distant wild field, let's drop a seed in the lap of the earth and dies away. Sow in me your living breath as you sow a seed in the earth. Baruch atah Adonai rofeh chol basar umafli la'asot." As we turn the page, we read together, "My soul came to me pure, drawn from the reservoir of the holy. All the time it remains within me, I am thankful for its thirst for compassion and justice. Let my eyes behold the beauty of all creatures. Let my hands know the privilege of righteous deeds. Baruch atah Adonai asher biado nefesh kol chai v'ruach kol basar ish." We turn now to page 198, where we find the beginning of the series of blessings known as the Nisim B'chol Yom, the blessings for our daily miracles. Those miracles are summarized in the margin of the even-numbered pages, so you can look at those as together we chant the blessings on the next few even-numbered pages.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lesachvivina leavchin ben yom uvein laila. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam pokeach ivrim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam matir asurim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam zokef kifufim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam rokah haaretz al hamayim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamechlin mitzadei gaver. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam malbish arumim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, anoten lo yahev koach. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamavir sheina meina utnuma me'afapai. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shasani b'tselem Elohim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shasani b'chorin. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shasani Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, ozer Yisrael b'gvura. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, oter Yisrael b'tifara.
We turn now to page 204, and at the top of the page we join together in the blessing for the study of Torah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. O Adonai, our God, let the words of Torah be sweet in our mouths and the mouths of your people Israel, so that we, our descendants, and the descendants of all your people Israel may know you by studying your Torah for its own sake. Blessed are you, Adonai, who teaches Torah to your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai hamalamed Torah le'amo Yisrael. We turn now to page 206, where we find an excerpt of Torah, which we recite in fulfillment of the blessing. These are things that are limitless, of which a person enjoys the fruit of the world, while the principle remains in the world to come. They are honoring one's father and mother, engaging in deeds of compassion, arriving early for study morning and evening, dealing graciously with guests, visiting the sick, providing for the wedding couple, accompanying the dead for burial, being devoted in prayer, and making peace among people. But the study of Torah encompasses them all. We turn now to page 215 in our Siddur, where we find Ashrei. We now chant Ashrei responsively. Ashrei yoshvei beitecha od yehalelu chasela.
Ashrei am shekacha lo, Ashrei am shadonai Elohai.
Tehila leDavid aromimcha Elohai hamelech, bavarcha shimcha leolam va'ed.
B'chol yom avarcheka ve'alala shimcha leolam va'ed.
Gadol Adonai umehula me'od, v'li gdulato ein cheker.
Dor l'dor yishabach ma'asecha, ugvuratecha yagidu.
Hadar kavod hodecha, v'divrei niflotecha asicha.
Ve'zuz noratecha yomeru, ugdulatcha saprena.
Zecher rav tuvcha yabi'u, v'titkatcha yiranenu.
Chanun v'rachum Adonai, erech ha'payim u'duchased.
Tov Adonai lakol, v'rachamav al kol ma'asav.
Yoduch Adonai kol ma'asecha, v'chasidecha yivarchucha.
Kivod malchutcha yomeru, ugvratecha yidaberu.
Leodia livnei Adam gvurotav, uchvod adar malchutav.
Malchutcha malchut kol olamim, umemshaltecha b'chol dor v'ador.
Somech Adonai l'chol hanoflim, v'zokef l'chol hakfufim.
Einei chol elecha yisaberu, v'atanoten lehem et ochlam be'ito.
Poteach et yadecha, u'maspia l'chol chai ratzon.
Tzadik Adonai b'chol derachav, v'chasid b'chol ma'asav.
Karov Adonai l'chol korav, l'chol asher yikra'u v'emet.
Ritzon Yereav Ya'aseh, v'et Shavatam Yishma v'yoshiem.
Shomer Adonai et kol oavav, et kol hashayim yashmid.
Tilat Adonai daber pi, v'varech kol basar shem kodsho le'olam va'em.
Va'anachnu nivarech ya, me'ata ve'ad olam, hallelujah.
Page 223. You shall always be praised, great and holy God, our sovereign in heaven and on earth. Songs of praise and psalms of adoration become you, acknowledging your might and your dominion. Yours are strength and sovereignty, sanctity, grandeur, and glory always. We offer our devotion, open our hearts in acclamation. Baruch atah Adonai el melech gadol ba'atish bachot, el hahodaot adon haniflaot, habocher b'shirei zimra, melech el chei ha'olamim. Praised are you, sovereign of wonders, crowned in adoration, delighting in song, eternal majesty.
Yitkadosh ויתקדש שמי רבה.
Amen.
ויעמד יברך ידרותי וימליך מלכותי בחייכן וביומכן ובחיי תכל בית ישראל בגלה בגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יש מרב ומבורך לעולם ולעולמי עולמיה יתברך יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי קדושו בריחו לילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירה מעלמה ואמרו
Amen. Please rise if you are able for the Baruch Hu, page 226.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Yotzer Or Uvorei Choshech Oseh Shalom Uvorei et Hakol Hameir La'aretz V'Ladarim Aleha Barachamim Uvtivo Mechadesh Bechol Yom Tamid Ma'aseh V'Reishit Ma Rabu Ma'asecha Adonai Kulam B'Chochma Asita Mal'ah Ha'aretz Kinyanecha Titbarach Adonai Eloheinu Al Shevach Ma'aseh Yadecha Ve'al Me'orei Or Sha'asita Yifa'arucha Sela Or Chadash Al Tzion Ta'ir V'Niskei Hulanu Mehira Le'oro Baruch Atah Adonai Yotzer HaMe'orot. How deeply you have loved us, Adonai, our God, gracing us with surpassing compassion. On account of our forebears whose trust led you to teach them the laws of life, be gracious to us, teaching us as well. O merciful one, have mercy on us by making us able to understand and discern, to heed, learn, and teach, and lovingly to observe, perform, and fulfill all that is in your Torah. Enlighten our eyes with your Torah, focus our minds on your mitzvot, unite our hearts in love and reverence for your name. Then we will never feel shame, never deserve rebuke, and never stumble. Having trusted in your great and awesome holiness, we shall celebrate your salvation with joy. Together, gather us in peace from the four corners of the earth, and lead us upright to our land. For you, O God, work wonders. You chose us. Truly, you drew us near to your great name, that we might acknowledge you, declaring you one in love. Praised be you, Adonai, who chooses your people Israel in love. Baruch atah Adonai, habocher be'amo Yisrael, be'ahava.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem, Kivod Malchuta, Leolam Vad.
Please be seated.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
We turn now to page 239, where we read responsively in English in the middle of the page. The eternal truth is that you alone are God, and there is none else. May the righteous of all nations rejoice in your love and exult in your justice. Let them beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks.
Let nation not lift a sword against nation, nor learn war anymore.
You shall not hate your brother or your sister in your heart. The stranger that sojourns with you shall be accepted as your equal, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt. Why do you crush my people and oppress the poor? Asks God. We know that the Eternal One defends the poor and upholds the rights of the needy. Praise to God Most High. Blessed is God and deserving of blessing.
Mi chamacha b'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, norati lot osef ele, norati lot osef ele. Shira chadasha, shipchu gelulim, l'shimcha al sfatayam, yachad kulam, hodu v'imlichu, v'amru Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed. Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed. Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed. Tzui Yisrael, kol ma bezrat Yisrael, v'deichenu mecha, Yudah v'Yisrael, Ga'alenu, Adonai tzvot shemo, Kedosh Yisrael, Baruch atah Adonai, Gal Yisrael.
Prayer invites God's presence to suffuse our spirits, God's will to prevail in our lives. Prayer may not bring water to parched fields, nor mend a broken bridge, nor rebuild a ruined city, but prayer can water an arid soul, mend a broken heart, rebuild a weakened will. Please rise if you are able for Tefillah, page 242.
Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi yagi tehillatcha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor v'Hanora, Elyon, Kamel Chasadim Tovim v'Konei Akol, v'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, Levi Gula Livnei B'neihem, L'matan Shemo Be'avah, Melech Ozer, Mashiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, V'ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh Kol Atarav Le'oshia, Morid Hatal, Mechakel Chayim Bechesed, Mechayeh Akol Berachamim Rabim, Tomech Noflim V'rafech Olim, Umatir Asurim, Umikayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Bal Gvurot, Umidam Elach, Melech Memit Umechayeh, Umatmiach Yeshua, V'nemanat Alach Hayot HaKol, Baruch atah Adonai Mechayei hakol.
Nikadesh et shimcha ba'olam, kishem shemakdishim oto b'shmei marom, kaka ituv al yad neviyecha v'karazeh el zeh ve'amar.
Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzvaot, Melech haaretz kivado.
Adir, Adirenu, Adonai, Adonenu, ma'adir shimcha b'chol haaretz.
Baruch kivod Adonai mimilkomo.
Echad hu Eloheinu, hu Avinu, hu Malkeinu, hu Moshienu, hu Yashmeinu brachamav le'enei kol chai, Ani Adonai Elohechem.
Yimelech Adonai le'olam, Eloi Tzion, L'dor v'dor, Hallelujah. L'dor v'dor,
L'dor v'dor,
L'dor v'dor, L'dor v'dor, Nagid God Lecha, L'dor v'dor,
L'dor v'dor,
L'dor v'dor,
L'dor v'dor,
L'dor v'dor, Nagid God Lecha, Ulenetach netachim, Kedushatcha nakdish, V'shivchacha Eloheinu mipinu lo yamush, Le'olam va'ed. L'dor v'dor,
L'dor v'dor,
L'dor v'dor,
L'dor v'dor,
L'dor v'dor, Nagid God Lecha, L'dor v'dor,
L'dor v'dor,
L'dor v'dor,
L'dor v'dor,
L'dor v'dor, Nagid God Lecha, Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
Please be seated. We turn now to page 250, and we join together in singing Yismechu.
Yismechu v'malchutcha shomerei Shabbat, Yismechu v'malchutcha v'korei oneg, Yismechu v'malchutcha shomerei Shabbat, Yismechu v'malchutcha v'korei oneg, Am mikadshei shevi, Kulam yisbeu v'yitangu mituvecha ve'ashvi ratzita bo ve'kidashto. Yismechu v'malchutcha shomerei Shabbat, Yismechu v'malchutcha v'korei oneg, Yismechu v'malchutcha shomerei Shabbat, Yismechu v'malchutcha v'korei oneg. Chemdat yamim oto karata, zecher lema'aseh, zecher lema'aseh v'reshit. Chemdat yamim oto karata, zecher lema'aseh, zecher lema'aseh v'reshit. Yismechu v'malchutcha shomerei Shabbat, Yismechu v'malchutcha v'korei oneg, Yismechu v'malchutcha shomerei Shabbat, Yismechu v'malchutcha v'korei oneg.
We sang Yismechu in the spirit of Kiddushat Hayom, the sanctification of this Shabbat day. And we continue this theme now as we turn to page 253, and we read together in the middle of the page. Where has this week vanished? Is it lost forever? Will I ever recover anything from it? The joy of life, the unexpected victory, the realized hope, the task accomplished. Will I ever be able to banish the memory of pain, the sting of defeat, the heaviness of boredom? On this day, let me keep for a while what must drift away. On this day, let me be free from the burdens that must return. On this day, Shabbat, abide. Help me to withdraw for a while from the flight of time. Contain the retreat of the hours and days from the grasp of frantic life. Let me learn to pause, if only for this day. Let me find peace on this day. Let me enter into a quiet world this day. On this day, Shabbat, abide. Baruch atah Adonai, mikadesh ha-Shabbat. We turn now to a prayer for peace found in the Siddur on page 259. We read together in the middle of the page. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of our world. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, Adonai, who blesses your people with peace. Baruch atah Adonai hamavarech et amo Yisrael. Ba shalom. On pages 260 and 261, we find inspirational readings which we can reflect on at this time that is dedicated to the prayer of our hearts, known as Tfilat Halev.
Ose shalom bimromav, huya ose shalom alenu, ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Ose shalom bimromav, huya ose shalom alenu, ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Ose shalom bimromav, huya ose shalom alenu, ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen.
We turn now to page 363 in the Siddur. On page 363, we find the beginning of the next part of our service for the reading of the Torah, otherwise known as Seder Kriyat HaTorah. Happy is the one who finds wisdom, the one who gains understanding, for its value is greater than silver, its yield than fine gold. It is more precious than rubies, no treasure can match it. We continue in the middle of the next page. Please rise.
Su she'arim ra'sheichem oseo pitrei olam v'yavo melech hakavod mi'uze melech hakavod Adonai tzvaot ulmelech
In this scroll is the secret of our people's life from Sinai until now. Its teaching is love and justice, goodness and hope. Freedom is its gift to all who treasure it.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonai Kadosh Shema, Gadol Adonai Iti, Ani Ramimo Shema Yachtav, Lecha Adonai Hagedila, Yagivura, Yativeret, Yanetzach, Yad, Kicho Bashamayim Uvaret, Kicho Bashamayim Uvaret, Lecha Adonai HaMamalach, Yabid Nasi, Lecha Lirash. Al Shlosha Devarim, Al Shlosha Devarim, Al Shlosha Devarim, Halam Halam Amen. Al Shlosha Devarim, Al Shlosha Devarim, Al Shlosha Devarim, Halam Halam Amen. Al HaTorah ve'al Avodah ve'al Gemilut Chasadim, Al HaTorah ve'al Avodah ve'al Gemilut Chasadim.
Please be seated. This week's Torah portion is Parashat Shelach Lecha, which we find in the book of Numbers. Here in the sanctuary, you can open your Torah commentary to page 1109. And if you have a copy of the revised Platt commentary at home, and you are watching us on live stream, then you can find this same part of the Torah on page 900 and... It's time for me to get new context. Page 981 in the revised Torah commentary. And I'm reading just a 6 or 7 verse excerpt of a larger story. It is a story of espionage, that 12 spies are sent, one from each tribe, to check out the land of Israel, to look at the terrain, to look at the fortification of the cities, and to look at the distribution of the population. But it is more than just a story about espionage, because it is really, at its heart, a story about faith. No matter what the spies see, will the Israelites have enough faith to follow God's instruction, to follow Moses and Aaron's leadership, and go to this place that has been promised to them? And unfortunately, the short answer at the end of the story is no. The majority of the spies don't have the faith. The majority of the people do not have the faith. And in the end, a people that lacks the faith to do something will be unable to do it. And though the worst case scenario would have been for the Israelites to turn around and go back to Egypt, that does not occur. But they are essentially put in a holding pattern for 40 years after this story, that this is clearly not the generation. One could look at it very judgmentally. This is not the generation that merits going into the land of Israel. But one can look at it a little bit more practically, that this is not the generation that has the skills and the attitude to succeed and thrive in the land of Israel. And so the people must, after the scene, wait for 40 years before they actually enter the land. I was looking for some commentary and insight on this story, and I wanted to give you a little bit of preview to the book that our Lunch and Learn participants have chosen to be our textbook for next year. It is a book called Judaism's Life-Changing Ideas by Rabbi Jonathan Sacks. And so I perused what he had to say about this week's Torah portion. He gives sort of a background into cognitive behavioral therapy, which I am not smart enough to summarize for you. So we'll get to it a year from now in class, the way that he breaks it down and describes how cognitive behavioral therapy can be used to sort of analyze what the Israelites are thinking about in this moment. But he breaks it down into, I think, 7 sub-points, and one of them really spoke to me, and that is mind reading. None of us is a mind reader, but we all are vulnerable to the trap that what we are thinking about someone else is what they are thinking about us. And Rabbi Sacks argues that that's exactly what the 10 spies do. They are afraid of the Canaanites, and they think that the Canaanites are therefore, by definition, hostile to them. And he actually has us read ahead to the Haftarah portion, and very rarely do Torah commentaries like this one integrate the Torah and the Haftarah portions. But we're gonna hear the Haftarah portion in a few minutes, because Rachav, who is this woman who shelters the 2 Israelite spies in the Haftarah portion, she actually confesses that her people are afraid of the Israelites. And so the 10 spies, it turns out, in retrospect, had nothing to be afraid of. Because they were afraid, they read hostility in their enemies, when the truth was that their enemies were just as afraid of them as they were of their enemies. And what Rabbi Sacks takes away from this dynamic, from this very fruitless exercise in mind reading, has to do with the juxtaposition of fear and faith. And so I wanted to read the last couple of lines from his section in our new Lunch and Learn book on this week's Torah portion. He writes, hence the life-changing idea. Never let negative emotions distort your perceptions. You are not a grasshopper. It's a reference to the fact that the spies thought that they were giants, and so we must be grasshoppers. But you are never a grasshopper. Those who oppose you are not giants. To see the world as it is, not as you are afraid it might be. Let faith banish fear. And then at the end of each section, he summarizes in 1 or 2 sentences a life-changing idea. And for this portion, it is the following. Never let negative emotions distort your perceptions. To see the world as it is, not as you are afraid it might be. Let faith banish fear. And so that is a lesson from this week's Torah portion, made possible by the wisdom of our upcoming Lunch and Learn book. And with that said, I'm ready to actually chant out loud a short excerpt from this larger story. So once again, it is Numbers chapter 13, verse 25, page 1109 here in the sanctuary, and page 981 at home in the Revised Torah Commentary. And to honor the Torah, we call upon Carlene Fleischman. Let me just find my spot, Carlene. Okay, we're ready.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bacha banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Amen. Vayashuvu mitur haaretz Miketz arba'im yom vayelchu vayavo el Moshe ve'el Aharon ve'el kol adat b'nei Yisrael el midbar paran kadesha vayashivu otam davar ve'et kol ha'eda ve'arum et pri ha'aretz vayisapru lo vayomeru banu el ha'aretz asher shalachtanu v'gam zavat chalav udvash hi v'zeh pirya efes ki az ha'am hayoshev ba'aretz v'ha'arim batsurot gedolot me'od v'gam yilidei ha'anak ra'inu sham Amalek yoshev ba'eretz hanegev v'hachiti v'hayevusi v'ha'emori yoshev bahar v'haknani yoshev al hayam ve'al yad hayarden vayahas kalev et ha'am el Moshe vayomer alo na'aleh v'yarashnu ota ki yachol nuchal la.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'chokenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. This time our thoughts turn to those in need of healing as we prepare to offer a mishaberach for healing found in the Siddur on page 371. If you are thinking of someone in need of healing and you'd like to share their name out loud or in your heart here in the sanctuary, I invite you to do so. And similarly, if you are watching us on live stream and you are thinking of someone in need of healing, I invite you to share their name in the chat or comment section of the live stream platform. The names of our temple members and their loved ones in need of healing will appear on your screen in just a moment. This time we join together with Cantor Tillam in singing the Mishaberach.
Mishaberach Avotenu Mikol HaBracha the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishaberach imotenu mikol habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
We continue now with the lifting and dressing of the Torah, found at the bottom of page 370. Please rise if you are able for Hagba and Galila.
Vezot HaTorah asher sam Moshe livnei bnei Yisrael yad Adonai yad Moshe yalai lai 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 yalai lai 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 yalai lai 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 yalai lai yalai lai lai yalai lai 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 yalai lai lai
Please be seated. The Haftarah portion comes from the book of Joshua. It is found here in the sanctuary on page 1262 of the Torah commentary. And at home, if you have a revised Torah commentary, on page 998. So I made passing reference a moment ago to the Haftarah. There is a thematic connection, and that is the one of spies going out. The spies in the book of Numbers seem not to ever encounter any real danger. They see things that scare them in the long term. You know, these are giants whom we could never conquer if we tried, but they seem to face no danger on their actual spy mission. The spies in the book of Joshua are different. The king is aware of their presence. There are soldiers out to find them and deal with them, and they succeed only because someone offers them compassion, and that someone is Rahab, and so she offers them compassion. At first, it seems unconditional, but she then asks that when the time comes that the Israelites come and conquer her city, that she and her family are spared. So we can see both the similarities and the differences between the Torah story and the story in Joshua. And then I just want to focus you on the verses that Rabbi Sachs, in that passage that I referred to, mentions, and those are verses 9 through 11. It is in those verses where Rahab discloses that they, meaning the Canaanites, and those living in Jericho, are afraid of the Israelites, that the assumption that the original spies had is not in fact true, that they were guided by fear and not by fact. Linda Postganzer is going to honor us with the reading of the Haftarah, and we call upon her at this time.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'nevi'im tovim v'ratza v'divreihem hane'emarim ba'emet. Baruch atah Adonai habocher b'Torah uv Moshe avdo uv Yisrael amo uv inviei ha'emet v'tzedek. Joshua, son of Nun, secretly sent 2 spies from Shittim, saying, "Go, reconnoiter the region of Jericho." So they set out, and they came to the house of a harlot named Rahab, and lodged there. The king of Jericho was told, "Some men have come here tonight, Israelites, to spy out the country." The king of Jericho thereupon sent orders to Rahab, "Produce the men who came to you and entered your house, for they have come to spy out the whole country." The woman, however, had taken the 2 men and hidden them. "It is true," she said. "The men did come to me, but I didn't know where they were from, and at dark, when the gate was about to be closed, the men left, and I don't know where the men went. Quick, go after them, for you can overtake them." Now she had taken them up to the roof and hidden them under some stalks of flax, which she had lying on the roof. So the men pursued them in the direction of the Jordan down to the fords, and no sooner had the pursuers gone out than the gate was shut behind them. The spies had not yet gone to sleep when she came up to them on the roof. She said to them, "I know that the Lord has given the country to you, because dread of you has fallen upon us, and all the inhabitants of the land are quaking before you. For we have heard how the Lord dried up the waters of the Sea of Reeds for you when you left Egypt, and what you did to Sihon and Og, the 2 Amorite kings across the Jordan, whom you doomed. When we heard about it, we lost heart, and no man had any more spirit left because of you. For the Lord your God is the only God in heaven above and on earth below. Now, since I have shown loyalty to you, swear to me by the Lord that you in turn will show loyalty to my family. Provide me with a reliable sign that you will spare the lives of my father and mother, my brothers and sisters, and all who belong to them, and save us from death." The men answered her, "Our persons are pledged for yours, even to death. If you do not disclose this mission of ours, we will show you true loyalty when the Lord gives us the land." She let them down by a rope through the window, for her dwelling was at the outer side of the city wall, and she lived in the actual wall. She said to them, "Make for the hills, so that the pursuers may not come upon you. Stay there in hiding 3 days until the pursuers return, then go your way." But the men warned her, "We will be released from this oath which you have made us take, unless when we invade the country, you tie this length of crimson cord to the window through which you let us down. Bring your father, your mother, your brothers, and all your family together in your home. And if anyone ventures outside the doors of your home, his blood will be on his head, and we shall be clear. But if a hand is laid on anyone who remains in the house with you, his blood shall be on our heads. And if you disclose this mission of ours, we shall likewise be released from the oath which you made us take." She replied, "Let it be as you say." She sent them on their way, and they left, and she tied the crimson cord to the window. They went straight to the hills and stayed there 3 days until the pursuers turned back. And so the pursuers, searching all along the road, did not find them. Then the 2 men came down again from the hills and crossed over. They came to Joshua son of Nun and reported to him all that had happened to them. They said to Joshua, "The Lord has delivered the whole land into our power. In fact, all the inhabitants of the land are quaking before us." Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam tzur kol haolamim tzadik b'kol hadarot ha'el haneman hamer v'osei hamidaber umkayim shekol devarav emet v'tzedek al haTorah v'al havodah v'al hanvi'im v'al yom haShabbat hazeh Shanatata lanu Adonai Eloheinu likdusha v'limnucha likavod ultifaret al hakol Adonai Eloheinu anaknu modim lach umvarchim otach yitbarach shimcha b'kol hatamid le'olam va'ed Baruch atah Adonai mikadesh haShabbat.
We continue at this time as we prepare to return the Torah to the Ark. We turn to page 374. Please rise.
Don't open it quite yet.
face the congregation part first.
יהללו את שם אדוני, כי נשגב שמו לבדו. הודו על ארץ ושמיים, וירם קרן לעמו, תהילה לכל חסידה. לבני ישראל עם קרוב לו. הללויה, הללויה, כי לקח טוב נתתי לכם, תורתי אל תעזובו, עץ חיים היא, למה חזיקים ותמך מאושר, דרכה דחינם, בכל נתיבותיה שלום. השיבנו אדוני אליך ונשובה, חדש חדש ימינו, חדש ימינו כקדם.
Please be seated. I'm a creature of habit. When the ark was closed, I said, please be seated. But we're actually going to another thing you have to be standing for. So please rise for the Aleinu. I apologize. We continue with the Aleinu on page 586 at the bottom of the page.
Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol atid gedula liotzer bereshit shelo asanu kiguye aratzot v'lo samanu k'mishpachot adama shelo sam chalkeinu kahem v'gor aleinu k'chol amanam v'anachnu koreim u'mishtachavim u'modim Lifnei melech malachei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu v'nemar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz b'hayom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shema echad.
We remain standing as we turn now to a reading to introduce the Mourner's Kaddish found on page 597. Our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. This Shabbat, we remember those for whom we're in the Shloshim 30-day period of mourning: Joseph Monain, father of Ellen Monain; Earl Barrison, uncle of Carol Shansky; Eric Stokes, brother of Mark Stokes; and Kevin Dillon, brother of Michael Dillon, brother-in-law of Paula, and uncle of Molly. We remember as well those whose yard sites occurred this week: Shulamith Abelitz, Helen Alster, Betty Baer, Roberta Balzer Hull, Jack Bergman, David Bias, Judith C. Bitterman, Barnett S. Bookstaver, Jerry Chellemer, Leona Edith Chittum, Harriet Honey Conford Wolf, Esther Disler, Edith Dubois, Sebastian Engelberg, Millicent Fox, Regina Frudenfeld, Solomon Freund, Irving Grazel, Meyer Yablonka, Faye Kane, Helen Kaplan, Harry L. Kitzinger, Milton Kopf, David Labovitz, Martin Lasky, Andres Levine, Charles Loeb, Henny Loeb, Fannette Meyer, Gary Millman, Ethel Muson, Edith Pape, David Persky, Douglas Pfeffer, Rabbi Louis J. Siegel, Meyer Silver, Martin Sonnabend, Saul Stein, Louis Stern, Molly Weinstein, and Evelyn Worthan. And we remember the names of 6 of the 6 million who perished in the Holocaust: Esther Averbuch of Romania, age 17, Moses Alba of Poland, age 12, Anshel Altman of Poland, age 2, Ephraim Altman of Poland, age 5, Bela Altman of Poland, age 2, and Tibor Altman of Hungary, age 13. We remember them all. We take them into our hearts with our own as we turn to page 598 as we join together in the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'zman kari v'imru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mivorach le'olam u'olmei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei dikudsha b'rechu. Le'ila min kol birchata v'shirata, tush bechata v'nechemata ta'amiran be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. And let us say, Amen. Please be seated. It is my pleasure at this time to call upon Karen Wertheimer, a member of our Board of Trustees, for Shabbat greetings and announcements.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
On behalf of the Board of Trustees, it's my pleasure to welcome you to our service, our Shabbat morning service. Sunday morning at 10:30, join us for a special event honoring the memory of longtime Temple Emeth member Joe Pollack. There will be a screening of the documentary Bela, the Artist and Her Legacy, followed by a discussion led by Yiddish teacher David Braun. Klezmer music will be provided by our very own Richard Bookbinder. A Temple Emeth tradition returns on July 1st when we host prayers on the Palisades. We will meet at the State Line Lookout at 6 p.m. for a pre-oneg. Services will start at 6:30. Afterwards, we will join for a festive dinner at Il Molino in Dumont. Please see your weekly email to preview the menu and to make a reservation by emailing Linda Postcancer. Bring your beach chair and bug spray. On Saturday, July 23rd, join Biyachad to celebrate the Boys of Summer at a New Jersey Jackals baseball game. We'll meet at Yogi Berra Stadium in Little Falls. Game time is 6 p.m., followed by fireworks. Tickets are $15 with free parking. Meanwhile, like many of you, our own Rabbi Serbu and Cantor Tillam have vacation plans this summer. We need volunteers to help lead services during those weekends. Contact the office for more information. And speaking of summer, this is a great time to join Temple Emeth's adult choir. There's no audition, you just have to want to make music. Please contact Carol Shansky for more information. Thank you to this morning's volunteers in the live stream control room. Michael and Gail Goldberg are at the controls this morning. Shabbat Shalom.
And thank you to Karen. Karen, her term on the Board of Trustees ends this Thursday. We had installation last night, and we installed a new board, which does not include Karen. And so, Karen, I want to say thank you for your service on our board, and enjoy your. I don't know what happened. And yes, enjoy your post-board time as a Temple member.
Funny.
We continue now with the Kiddush and the Motzi. So if you've been watching us on live stream, now is the perfect time to bring your Kiddush cup and challah or bread to the screen. Please rise for the Kiddush.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen.
L'chaim.
L'chaim, I left my cup over there.
It's not too late. I'll take an extra. And you stayed in the frame the whole time, Cantor. And we join together in the Motzi.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
If you have been watching us on live stream, then it is your last chance to post something in the chat or comment section of the live stream platform. It can be as simple as the thing that we here in the sanctuary are about to say to one another. We conclude our service by turning to one another and saying, Shabbat Shalom.